Welcome to Gray Areas for June 11th, 2024, episode 626. Please let us know if you can hear and see us, because even that was in doubt for a moment as we were starting up.
As in a moment, as in like 5 seconds ago. Okay, bye, Sean.
He left.
Okay, he's just gone. Okay. He left. He didn't care. He's like, if you can't see me, I'm leaving.
Dave doesn't take my recommendations, so I don't like Dave anymore.
What do you mean I don't take
That's a
your
lot of
recommendations?
hostility right away.
Well, I've had all week
I
to
take
stew
no-
on it.
I take so many of your recommendations.
How was your trip, Dave?
Where's your rowing machine, Dave?
That was in the recommendation.
It was. Wasn't it?
Oh,
Dave,
well,
I have
I
have
oh,
so
God,
many
he's-
things
I-
I
Sean
saved
never
for
picked-
you. Aren't you happy?
It's actually starting to get to a point where I'm like curious about Sean's obsession with me. Like, I have things for you.
Yeah,
Dave,
well, because I was going to
specifically.
bring it up. So I was in gym, and I was listening, and all of a sudden there's like a song, and it said, Corvo, get out of here. It was a song, and it sounded like Round Ball Rock, but like not quite. And then it went full into Round Ball Rock, and it was a rap song by Nelly. And it full lyrics and everything.
So someone did sample it. I said a couple weeks ago that somebody should. I guess I should have imagined somebody would have already.
Yeah.
Years
Yeah,
ago.
that makes sense.
And he brings up AI and Shaq. And so I'm thinking it's a little bit older. Plus it's Nelly, so that usually is a tip off.
I was like,
that.
Nelly hasn't
He-
done a whole
he's
lot for like a
he's
decade.
gone, yeah.
At least.
So
I just looked it up. It's That's the Heart of a Champion.
Yeah.
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the song.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't until now, but thank you for reminding
So
me.
every time we hear it, it's on in Orange Theory. Mason are just like blah 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 basketball, but it still is like somebody actually took it and they made they set out to make a serious song. And I thought that was so interesting. And because the beginning it doesn't quite go into all of it. It goes like do 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 do. What is your deal? Stop moving.
Is that how the song goes?
Yes.
But then once it hits the chorus, they do full on like the full song.
Nelly was just screaming at his dog during the song.
His dog.
So,
You know,
I
for
thought
the
that was
people out
great.
there who still listen on, for the people who still listen on the podcast, they're probably so confused.
Yes.
At this point.
No,
Absolutely.
Rock. It's like essential to
No, they're
identity.
wondering
They don't have to be
why you're
confused.
yelling randomly. Corvo sat in my lap in the middle of the
Oh.
show, so it made sense that then you screamed at him later. But it doesn't make sense for any other people who aren't visually seeing this.
Yes.
I always yell at my dogs.
Well,
You
Context
do.
clues.
Maybe that's why they hate you.
So that's
you also always yell at Dave, so he's
that's the
apparently
main
your
thing.
dog.
True.
And I have a bunch of more questions,
why I
but
hate you.
think we actually have topics today. So
We do have topics.
I won't hostage the show and run away with it.
It's
But
like
I'm
we're
ready
being
to
contemporary.
at a moment's notice.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
know
hijack the
this.
show when you feel like it. Got it.
Well,
It's a really
not
good
when I feel
terroristic
like it.
threat. I'm not going to kidnap you now, but I'm going to hold over your head that I could kidnap you at any moment.
No. It's like when I'm needed. It's more like I'm a hero. It's like
Hmm.
when in your darkest
yes.
hour,
Yes.
when the awkward silence has reached a moment you think it cannot possibly go on any longer, I'll be there.
You know, so very many supervillains think of themselves as being the hero. And,
That's not really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of.
No, they
I
do.
mean, I'm pretty sure the main one snapped a bunch of people into oblivion thinking he was helping. So I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor, I'm pretty sure he thinks he's a good guy.
He does.
He
Yes.
wants to,
You're correct.
Who?
Syndrome thinks he's a good guy.
Yeah.
so
There hasn't been a whole lot of awkward silence in this
That's
particular
a good tier
four-person
list, by the
format.
way. The supervillains that had the best point. And
Ah.
we'll just rank them from, you know what? He actually might have been onto something, down to they were just evil.
I feel like Thanos is like, he could be the top or the bottom, depending on who you talk to, right?
Yeah, don't you want to hear that take? I
Yeah,
feel like you
only
kind
the
of want to
mo-
hear that take.
Only the movie Thanos.
Yeah,
though.
only the movie
so
version.
that starts to break it down a little bit if you have to break the characters.
Just classify which one you're talking about.
Ozymandias is probably going to be tough to beat.
See, you're just going along with this thought process. now.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's gonna be hard because he like literally is like his thing worked until real life events later proved like, oh, people don't unite like it was proposed by Alan. What's his face? What's his name? Alan. I can't believe I can't think of his name. The writer of Watchmen.
I'm blanking too. Sorry.
Well,
You're
I
on
thought
the
you
way.
meant.
more.
I thought you meant
more.
Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. So
Well,
No.
that's yeah,
the episode.
but
Yeah.
and it's a figure.
Same
that-
idea.
I mean, it's not even from Watchmen. It's pulled from
Yeah, it's old
mythology?
literature. Anyway, not old literature. We had topical things tonight, right? We had things that were like in the news recently, recent items. That's what the banner says up top, audio listeners.
Yeah, but that's boring.
Okay.
Just kidding. No, let's get into it. Let's not start with the Lakers talk. Let's save basketball for later.
Okay.
Okay. So what else do you guys have?
Okay.
I didn't plan this one, so I'm ready to be surprised. Odd and surprised.
Me too. We had like things. Cody, you were gonna bring stuff up. Go.
I literally was
Cody's
gonna bring up
the
Lakers
Lakers
things.
thing, and I already shish
He already just blocked me from being able to talk shit about the Lakers for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Alan Moore. It's Alan Moore, Peter. You're right. I'm a bad nerd.
Wonderful.
Sean, you're the one that sent a giant text message that was then two text
It's
messages that were the same text message.
Yeah,
expressing
what happened with
things.
that? Because the first text didn't send, and then I tried to send.
I don't know.
and
You have a
then-
shitty phone from everything I understand.
Well, it's a
so-
shitty fucking internet too.
For what it's worth, I also got one of Cody's twice, so something was going on, and it
Fuck.
wasn't just Sean related.
Yeah, it's you two, idiot.
God damn it!
I just gotta find the text.
It's not that far back.
I get a
well,
lot
let's
of
see, you
text
had-
messages though. Oh, here we go.
Xbox announcements, Mickey 17.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so we could have themed the show.
Yeah, I was right.
Studios Overreaching.
I was gonna
and
say, yeah,
getting
that's right. I did
involved.
text Sean separately saying we should bitch about this thing specifically. It was
He did
me and
that
him,
too.
not in the group. That makes more sense.
Studios and the Lakers overreaching. All right, good, we got it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
good.
basically management being bad. That's what we're doing, right? So
Yes.
Lakers management, the EA with Dragon Age being fucking stupid. The Warner Brothers.
Break it down. What's going on?
Yeah, why don't you start with
Okay,
Dragon
okay.
Age? Just
Which
go ahead and
one
start
do you
with
wanna
that.
start with?
Start with Dragon Age.
Dragon
That's
Age.
what you
no,
just
let's
said.
start with yours. I like Mickey 17. So there's a director. I'm not gonna be able to think of his name. Cody. What's his fucking
Which
name?
one do you want to start with? This one?
Yeah.
No, let's not start with that one.
No. I want to start with the most accessible, and I think movies are the most accessible. If you poll our audience, they mostly care about 1980s Boston Celtics, but after that, they care about movies. I think so. What's his name? What's the director's name? Stop laughing. Tell me the director's name.
Edward
Anyway,
Ashton?
it's
Is that what
so-
you're talking about?
Okay, I mean he's Korean, so it's Bong Joon-ho.
And so
Right.
he made a really good movie called Snowpiercer. He made an Oscar-winning movie called Parasite. So Warner Brothers like, great, we're gonna like fund you to make a new movie, and he makes it, and they're like, cool. Now we're gonna take this. You're not gonna actually get to see the final cut, and he's like, can I please? I feel like my pedigree makes me deserve to see the final cut, and and the studio says, thank you, you're right, but no. We want to make it more accessible for audiences. We're going to disregard that you won an Oscar and made Memories of Murder, by the way, is also a great movie. And they're like, no, we're going to do our own thing. Memories of Murder, not accessible, really. It's a downer, but it's great.
Parasite's entirely in Korean and it won a fucking Oscar.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's weird.
what do you mean talking about accessible? It doesn't fucking mean
Yeah.
shit. America also loved this movie. That was not in, that you had to read subtitles for the entire time unless you spoke Korean.
Maybe
So-
Mickey 17, like, it was terrible, but I feel like as the guy who made an Oscar-winning movie, you have bought yourself some leniency to try.
I mean, Snowpiercer is half not in English as well. Half of that you have to read subtitles for. When basically Chris Evans is not the one who's not speaking English. Like Dave's dead.
He died. It's fine.
Okay. So yeah,
he really
I mean,
doesn't like Korean movies.
apparently.
Or
Or Korean
Koreans.
people.
Yeah.
So like, I text Sean when I read the story that says, exactly what. I mean, Sean broke it down very simply. We don't really need to go much more deeper into that. But of all the studios to be overreaching right now,
Yeah.
it seems like Warner Brothers, who desperately needs something to go well, is maybe fucking up the only thing that it has going for it from a studio perspective right now.
I'm trying to think like Warner
So-
Brothers. You have the Justice League, which tanked. Dave has a question. Yes, Dave.
I do.
In the back of
What
the
the
class.
hell are you talking about overreach? You didn't explain anything that's going on.
So
I mean, he's in a pretty.
So the studio is not giving him his own movie the ability to do the final cut. They're taking his movie and being like, we got it from here.
They're gonna cut and re-edit it because they don't like the version he had turned into them. Basically, I think that they think that you need to know things about Mickey 17, the book, whatever, ahead of time, and that you going into the movie and watching it, you're gonna come out and be like, what the fuck? Which, by the way. That's kind of what he fucking does with his movies. Watch Parasite, watch Snowpiercer. You kind of walk away from being like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, and even I would say Memories of Murder, like you have to look up like crime and the police in the time in Korea, or you're not really going to come away with as much of an impact. You have to do a little bit of research. That's fine. Let him make the movie.
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
And so that's what Sean's saying is they've said we don't like the final cut you're giving us. We're going to recut it. Oscar-winning director. And we're going to put this movie out in whatever version we want. Which again, Warner Brothers does not deserve the credit. Right. To assume they're going to do a good job on that.
The smile on Dave's face is indicating to me that he's going to be like, well, the studio did fund it. Go ahead, Dave. Am I right?
It's their fault if it flops. That's the problem. Like, if it's their stupid fucking decision to ruin the movie to make it to a thing, like their whole job is to make money, right? Their whole goal is to make money. They don't give a shit about artistic quality.
They've also proven that they can't make money, and that they're because they're about to get sold or to merge with Paramount right now.
Yeah,
like it's a possibility.
And this is within what 6 months of both the Batgirl movie and Coyote versus Acme not ever being released.
Yeah, don't even get me started on Coyote versus
movies
Coyote
that they're
versus
just
Acme.
like, we're gonna eat a loss on that.
Suicide Squad, the complete debacle, the Justice League movies, Furiosa flop. That's Warner Brothers, right? Which I'm not going to say is their fault, but they have a string of L's. And Dave, the question that I would say is, you are right that their goal is to make money, but I'm going to bring up probably the lowest hanging fruit of an example of Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker. A lot of hands in the pot. Tried to cater to fans. Tried to make it more accessible. They didn't make as much money, and everybody hated it. And that tends to happen with these. I think it's very rare that a studio is like, we're going to take it from here, and then the movie makes a bunch of money, and everybody loves it.
And to jump in, I would say an example of, by the way, being, I think, mostly hands-off, is the fucking Barbie movie that I believe they mostly left alone, and I don't think that movie's abundantly accessible. It's an interesting premise from where you actually get to in that movie, and it made $1.4 billion, and you let Greta Gerwig just pretty much do whatever the fuck she wanted. So I don't know why now they need to start leaning in, especially again to this director. For what the fuck is the point of this?
In no way was I saying that this is a good idea. I'm just saying that's their choice and it's stupid. But especially if you're taking something that has a director that's proven to do things well. Now, only for a devil's advocate argument, I'll look at people like maybe M. Night Shyamalan, who kind of did things his own way and then made a really good reputation for himself. And the quality of his movies over time seemed to go down. Not saying that's what's happening here, but I think that some studio may have had some overreach later on in M. Night's career where they had the name, but maybe the quality went down. I don't know if that's the case here. It's just the devil's advocate.
I mean, I don't think so with him. I think weirdly he's given free reins, which is like a mistake to do. And also it's not the same because he's not at the, all of his movies. He had the first couple that were pretty good, and then he had The Village, which started, maybe not so good, and then he had like Lady in the Water and a bunch of really bad ones. Signs was in there, which I liked too. But the point is, he's had a string of misses. This guy, Oscar winner, fresh off Oscar. I mean, 2019. That's 5 years ago. Wow. That's a long time, actually. Holy shit.
Yeah, Parasite came out before COVID happened, just for what it's worth.
Yeah. So anyways, Warner Brothers, they're doing a lot of stupid stuff. You had Dragon Age, Dave, a game series. You don't know anything about Dragon Age, do you?
I know of Dragon Age. I know of it, yeah.
So really known for violence, dark tone, lots of mature themes in the games, and comes out with a trailer that is like... Not only did it look like a fucking Fortnite shooter, just like terrible, poppy, colorful, whatever, or like a Suicide Squad fucking thing. It also was like funny. Like there was very little stakes. Like a skeleton is behind a character and they're like, uh-oh. And you're like, well, no, that probably is going to kill those people. So way off the mark. Thank God a day after I sent this text, I started seeing the gameplay itself is good. It's just the trailer people that have absolutely butchered this trailer, completely tonally off base. So at least that's good. But man, I was like, God, there's so many examples of these studios, and EA is notorious for this, coming down and be like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's make it live service. Let's make it a multiplayer shooter or whatever the case may be. And it happens a lot.
I only argue again as a devil's advocate. I wonder how many times there's been examples of something where they have made it succeed, where it might not have otherwise. And that's tough to quantify. That's something that I don't know that you can get the data on. But there's got to be a reason that they did. Again, the whole goal is to make money in this idea. So you're not going out there to pretend to, explicitly or intentionally sabotage something.
No.
So they think it's going to work. Now, executives can be out of touch in that instance, so that can happen. But I wonder if they've had the right touches, they had the right people who have touched things properly and made it work when it wouldn't have otherwise.
I think it does happen, and I think you hear less about it. It's like, in the news, why don't we hear about like all the good stuff? It's like, well, it is happening. It's just when it goes bad, it's more interesting, right?
I'm also would counter as being sports fans. I think we've watched enough dipshit owners who don't actually know what they're doing in the business hijack the process from the people who do know what they're doing, thinking it'll help them make money because they're delusional, because they're a rich person who's been successful and thinks, well, I'm good at everything. And so I always wonder with gaming executives, movie executives, do you think the same fucking thing because you're in all high and mighty in the big powerful position because you got there, that you know about everything and not just the business side of it as opposed to the artistic side for movies or games or sports, actual side?
Yeah, and I've been burning to say this, so I'm going to say it is related. It's not exactly the same thing, but along with like people not knowing what they're doing, they're changing creative visions. People who do adaptations, George R. R. Martin actually wrote recently, he was like, I don't fucking get people who take an adaptation and they're like, I'm going to do my own thing with it. Which is like famously what people say, like, yeah, I'm really excited to take this established work and like
put my own
mark on it.
Yeah, put my own spin
on it, make it my own. And like, it's not your fucking own, it's mine. You're taking it and like adapting it for TV. That doesn't mean it's carte blanche to do whatever you want. And I look at things like the Witcher TV show, which is maybe one of the best examples of somebody doing their own thing and absolutely fundamentally ruining something.
Can I throw out the Velma show that's on HBO on Max as an example of that? Is like, what the fuck did you decide to do with this?
Can we just take an adaptation and like House of the Dragon is a great example. They have made small changes, but it captures the essence of the book so well, which is what an adaptation is supposed to do. Even the original Game of Thrones, there's a scene, I'm rereading it, audiobook, I have to clarify, but like there's a scene where the Daenerys comes out of the fire. Dave might know this, maybe at the end of season 1. In the show, she like comes out and she's like triumphant. In the book, her 2 dragons are both breastfeeding from her, and you're like, that's weird, and that's a good decision to not have in the show. So small changes, good ones, but still, like, it's very much Game of Thrones. It's not just doing their own thing. They're not killing off characters willy nilly because they feel like it. So I just liked that a lot, and that kind of plays into what we're talking about.
I have a related topic.
Okay.
Since you mentioned Furiosa kind of bombing, and just about everything in 2024 so far has kind of bombed. Kinda. I mean, worldwide, like Planet of the Apes did okay. It's not like it's a complete train wreck, but we also mentioned Barbie. Now, I don't think it was ever going to be possible to chase that particular dragon again. I don't think you were ever going to find those 2 billion plus worldwide offerings like Barbie in the Super Mario Brothers movie. But like, do we take anything away from the fact that we're about halfway through the year and everything's kind of bombing a little bit?
Yeah, well, and I think what's easy to say is with Furiosa, everybody's like, yeah, see, we're go woke, go broke is the short version of that. We're tired of girl boss characters, and it's like, no, I think it's like a bunch of movies. Fall Guy was very good, didn't make a lot of money. Like Dune 2 is one of the only success stories and one of the only
I was looking at gross
examples.
I was looking at gross right now, and they're at 711 million.
Yeah,
and that's over second place is Godzilla at 570, so like that's a massive lead. The 10th highest grossing movie of this fucking year is the goddamn Garfield movie right now, which is probably not good.
They asked that Dennis Villanueva, like, how do you feel about like Dune 2? It's like still being a successful, like still leading in box office now, all these months later, and he's like, I kind of hate it. That's not a good sign.
No.
And it's not. So I think, I mean, I don't know. We can say a bunch of different stuff. I think the cost of movies has to come down. But then if the cost comes down, I know it's harder to make a profit. And it becomes a chicken and egg thing. But Dave, you more than anybody can talk about what is it like to bring your family out for a movie and popcorn and drinks. You're looking at a ton of money.
I mean, it's not only the fact of the cost of movies coming down, because you're correct about that, but that's not going to happen. It's the cost of everything else in relation to movies as well, and especially if you do talk about a family. So here's just an example. Harkins around here does a summer movie pass for kids. So every Monday at like 10 in the morning, they show some shitty old cartoon. So for example, yesterday, the kids went to see the first Sonic movie. Not that that's a bad movie, but they went to see it because it's old, so it's cheap for the theaters. To get popcorn and drink and stuff like that, it's still like $25 for everything, you know? So we're not even spending a lot of money. The movie passes were like $20 a kid for the whole summer, and you see like 8 movies. But it's still like $25 a week that you're spending on things. That's without even the tickets. And then that's on cheap kid shit. So if you go to the movies as a full theater to see a new movie, you're spending $10 a person for ticket on average, I'd say, maybe 11 probably. And then another $40, $40 on snacks and stuff. Yeah, you're at $100 and some odd dollars for this trip to the movies.
So the other problem is, as technology gets better, the home theater experience is much better. And I'm not even saying,
you can rent it 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, and that too. So they're coming out so fast. You don't have to wait long. And I mean, home theater, I exaggerate that. At our house, we have a big TV. That's about it. We don't even have a sound bar. And still, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a nice big TV that's comparable to. And I'd probably go see movies more than anybody here.
Say, Sean, you're a person who, if a movie's really good, you're gonna go to the theater to re-see it again. Like, you would have formerly been like, I will happily pay my $8 a second time to go watch this movie in the theater. How fucking good would a movie have to be for you to go see it in a theater a second time at the price that it is right now?
I don't know if I would anymore, because the experience is so high. It's like, okay, I went out, I saw it once. Part of it at this point is like, I got to do my part. Oh, poor Hollywood. But I do like to support the people who made the thing. But then I'm like, okay, yeah. Across the Spider-Man. I love Across the Spider-Man. I watched it once in the movie and then once at home. And I waited.
So much so that he got the name wrong. That's great.
Spider-Man.
Across Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's a sequel.
It's an indie spin-off version.
Yeah,
it's a porno. It sounds similar. But to me, the most telling thing was, I think it was during a finals game. Something recently I saw they were doing like a commercial for a movie, and they were like, exclusively in theaters. And I had to sit there and think about that phrase for a minute, because I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And of course, when you think about it, it makes sense. Some things release jointly with streaming. Some things go straight to streaming. Like, I get it. But just hearing that aloud made me think about how much things have changed over the last few years, especially post-pandemic.
It's been weird because that's a regular thing now.
Yeah.
Like, over and over again, they have to clarify because, like, for example, when they did the Mean Girls musical movie, that was supposed to be a Paramount Plus movie only. And then they're like, this actually is kind of good. So then they ended up putting it into theaters after all, rather than sending it straight to streaming.
Yeah.
And it's like, who the fuck makes that decision when you have the streaming service versus the theater release? I don't.
And you know what? I read a report that said etiquette is a huge deterrent now. And like, and so anytime I can blame Gen Z for anything or whatever it is now, I'm going to. And the etiquette is just so bad. People on their phones, people don't care about taking calls, people just answering straight up stories of people answering their phone in a theater. That doesn't happen when I've been there, but like it people just ripping open their fucking popcorn. Being on the light is a huge thing. So it does get annoying for sure. And I get to the point where I'm like, man, I'm paying a lot of money for this. And then you have weird theater things. I've been probably 40% of the movies that I've been to recently, sound was calibrated wrong, or when I saw Love and Thunder, they like started to play it in the 3D version. So I don't know if you know what that means, but all the coloring is off, and it looks terrible. And it's like, what are you guys fucking doing? And small mistakes, I know, but like it's happening all the time, and you start to just that weighs into the value.
But look at, and then that leads into the idea that people are going to be less willing to go to the theater when it's a chance, like if they're taking a chance. Like, for example, a few years ago, did we see Space Jam 2 in theaters? No, because we didn't want to spend the money on it, and it was awful. I'm glad we didn't. But point is, it was available on HBO Max simultaneously with the theaters. So we saw it on HBO Max, because why wouldn't we? So then I don't think theaters are going to be willing to take chances going forward anymore, because why would they want to have that risk of flopping? So now that means the only movies we're going to get out there are the big, Marvel type movies, and that's it, because that's what people will go to the theaters to see. And that hurts the indie theaters, which means, I don't know, we get a bad cycle here at that point.
Yeah. Well, and Peter, Peter's absolutely right in that report. It was like one of the blames, one of the things that they blamed bad etiquette on was like, oh, COVID, so people stopped learning how to like go out in public. And I'm like, that feels like that's an excuse. Are you kidding?
Not true at all.
It's probably people
That's-
saying that that's the case because Gen Z likes blaming everything. Just kidding. I don't care.
Don't do this, Sean.
but really, it's like I think just people like have an excuse now, and as more and more people have like relaxed on those kind of strict guidelines, they're like, yeah, he's on his phone. I'm going to be on my phone too. I like it. And then all of a sudden, you have a environment that's untenable for going to watch a movie.
And by the way, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for the entire entertainment industry, not only because everybody's just making money hand over fist in theory, although it's been tough the last few years, but also because they sort of created this culture themselves by taking some of the more like middle ground and mediocre movies and putting them out on streaming quicker to try and recapture an audience if it wasn't performing well in the box office. They created this expectation that people could view them in that way. They did that. That was catering to viewers and maybe the lowest common denominator of them. So if it comes back to bite them now because they expect all movies to be that way, I go, well, you made a cash grab earlier, and it paid off then, but you're paying for it now. So don't cry me a river when it fucking goes south.
Yeah, cash grab is the perfect way to say, because the whole idea was to boost subscriber numbers and then like, oh, we have X number of subscribers from the first quarter. Well, it's because you released a fucking movie on there, and that was your like excuse to bump your numbers up and make your subscriber base look higher. So when you go and report in the stock market or whatever the fuck, you're like, we had the highest number of subscribers ever in quarter one. Well, it's because you fucking released a goddamn movie onto it that everyone paid the free trial for 1 month and then the minimum price for the second month. You're not actually pulling money in.
Yeah.
You're just claiming you have subscribers.
You're absolutely right. And I wish I remembered which movie it was, but there was some movie from some studio and they put it right on, or a simultaneous release, I think. And Hollywood was like mad. And they were like, we think you're setting a bad precedent. And they're like, fuck you, whatever. We're going to do what we want. And now you look back and you're like, oh, those studios maybe were absolutely right.
You're not talking about what Nolan's movie that came out during the pandemic, right? The shitty one that was weird.
I don't think it was Tenet.
It wasn't Tenet, okay? Because he whined about that and it's like, I'm not going to go back and I'm not going to have you like release my movies anymore because of what you fucking did. I just wasn't sure if that one, because that one was in the middle of the pandemic.
I think it was close to that. It was close to
It
that.
was close to that
same
same gap
idea,
time.
though.
Okay.
And they were like, don't do that. And they're like, no, we're going to. And I don't know what's
another
gonna
thing
take.
I heard recently, Matt Damon was being interviewed by somebody. I think it was on Hot Ones for some reason. I don't know. I saw a clip of it. But he mentioned how much DVD sales has ruined the smaller movies, because you'd have movies like, Mallrats or Rounders or something like that, which didn't have high box office releases, but then had really good DVD sales down the road and actually kind of made a second wind because of the amount of DVD sales. We don't have DVD sales anymore at all. Like, everyone expects to be on streaming, and therefore nobody buys the DVD. So therefore you're only paying your subscription costs, which means you're not getting the sales. It's a whole different income stream at this point, which Hollywood has to navigate.
You're totally right. And it's so funny that they put all their eggs in the streaming basket, and now largely streaming's not profitable.
Yeah,
So
which one?
they're like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
what do we do?
Which one of the apps is doing well? Like what? Peacock, Paramount Plus, Max. What the fuck's doing well?
I think Netflix now is doing pretty well. Which, despite all the doom and gloom, like their stock is really high after the crackdown.
Yes.
But largely, people are like dying on streaming. All these big studios. And again, I don't feel bad for them, but it's not profitable. And again, all they care about is more and more hitting their quota, which keeps going up, of new subscribers.
Yes.
It's like, well, when you have, whatever percentage of the country already has Disney Plus, you can't keep adding people.
No.
What are you going to do?
By the way, I wouldn't have talked about this before, but we're under new ownership now, so fuck it. The newspaper industry's been doing the same thing. Oh yeah, sign up for $1 for 6 months. Come on in, $1 for 6 months. And guess what that person does at the end of the 6 months? They cancel. Because they don't want to get moved from $1 for 6 months to $14.99 a month. So yeah, for those 6 months, you added a subscriber, but you brought in no revenue, almost literally. And then at the end of the day, the numbers end up stagnating and falling off. So you think, oh, well, last quarter we went up this much. It's like, yeah, but it's not sustainable because you've just basically put a Trojan horse up of fake numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, for the third straight year now, Peacock has, because I've alternated 2 different emails, Peacock has given me Peacock entirely $20 for 12 months because it makes me be a returning customer on both of my emails. So I have bounced and ping-ponged between the two for 3 straight years for a service that costs $5.99 a month for an entire year. Normally, I think it's $59.99, so I'm getting it for a third of the price because they keep fucking offering it to me. Sure, I'll gladly be a subscriber. Now I'm gonna get all the shit I want for an entire year. $20 for 12 months. That's fucking great. I also know that Peacock's going to go away one day and soon enough, and I'm not going to have it. But right now, if you're going to offer me that deal, I'm not going to not take it. And now you could just say, oh, we had X number of returning subscribers. Come back to our service because, again, you totally tanked your actual revenue.
What is it going to take for movies to be successful again? Do you think doing something like go see it in theaters because it's going to be your last chance for a year?
Yeah.
Or something crazy?
Exactly.
Like,
absolutely. If you stopped letting it go on the rental, because it goes to, well, I think it's called Fandango at home now, but it used to be Vudu or whatever, or
right.
Amazon. They put all these movies out, like, as you said, like right away. So, like, for example, we went and saw Fall Guy. 2 weeks later, we were into Fall Guy's theater run, but 2 weeks later, Fall Guy's on all the rental services for $20. Well, if you have a group of 5 fucking people, pay the $20. You're going to watch it. That movie's mostly going to be fine on the thing. Exactly, Dave. And so, like, you're happy to pay that money, like, or just buy it outright digitally for $24.99 or $30. Then why not just then you can watch it twice for $30 total for all of your people.
I'll tell you, I care more. So I might be a bad example for this, but if I knew that some Oscar winner was in theaters, I'm like, I don't know if I can make it, but that it was going to be a year before I could see it or some amount of time.
Go.
I'd be like, well, I guess I better go then.
I would hope it's $9.99 or a little bit less than that, not $14. But I'm fucking going if I know I'm not going to be able to sit it out. Like, because Barbie was that way. Barbie went out, and then Barbie stayed in theaters a long time, and it didn't go. It didn't release onto fucking streaming because it was making money. And you know what movie made $1.4 billion fucking dollars? The movie that withheld itself from being on streaming for a long fucking time.
And I hate to say it, but we're not naive, especially the 4 of us and our generation and the ones near us. The sooner you put it on streaming, the sooner it's getting pirated.
Yeah.
Because before, you could probably find some bootleg version of a theatrical release because somebody put their phone up or they snuck a smaller video camera in. But then you're getting like dog shit quality. So if you really wanted to see something as it was a cultural event, you could, but you paid a price for it because the quality sucked, the audio sucked, whatever, right? It was just like, it was bootleg in every sense of the word. Well, now you can just rip that shit from a stream so easily. So now in addition to losing money because you're only offering it for so much of a price that you can split, you're also opening the door for the $0 participants even sooner.
I will tell you, I tested that with Fall Guy the other day, and there was a perfect version quality, like as good as it was in the theater, on my phone to cast to my TV within 30 seconds. And it was free.
No studio, no legal team can keep up with the whack-a-mole game that comes because they'll shut down that site and then they'll open up another one. Because who gives a shit?
1, 2, 3 movies has existed in like 30 different versions in the last like year where I've checked that thing to see. When I literally straight up cannot find a movie on streaming, it's like it does not exist anywhere. I'm like, fine, I've tried. I'm gonna fucking go pirate it now. And this website's easy. You just go through the different versions of it.
Cody is just talking hypotheticals.
No, I'm just saying hypothetically. When a movie isn't available on any streaming service,
pirating on a podcast.
I'll tell you which movie it was specifically. Hypothetically,
exactly.
Right. We don't condone piracy here, gray area. Sorry.
If I were to pirate it, here's how I would have done.
Yes, I'll write the book like OJ. Exactly. Yeah, if I were to pirate, here's what I would do.
Can we talk about Caitlin Clark? I want to touch on this because I think it's really interesting.
Sure.
You want to call her a bitch too, just like that jackass Pat McAfee? Would you like to do that?
No, I'm very much on her side.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you weren't on the McAfee side.
I think that a little bit of on the other side of it, everybody's so mean to Caitlin Clark. I think that's a little overblown.
Very overblown, but
I don't know about very overblown. I think it's a little overblown. I do think there is a chip on the league's shoulder of this new hot stud coming in and saving the league, and they compare it to the NBA. Well, they don't do that to NBA rookies, and
yeah, they do.
Not to this level. And I think
how many times did LeBron get flagranted over and over again when he was a rookie? I don't know that happened very often.
Different era, though.
There's also a size difference. Like LeBron was massive.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's also not just Caitlin Clark. It's this rookie class in general. Angel Reese has also faced some.
Angel Reese. So it is happening a lot, but I think it's rare too. Like when Michael Jordan, everybody's like, they didn't do this to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's coming in the league. Or even LeBron. Let's say LeBron. He wasn't like saving a dying league or a league that was on life support. I think it's different when like you look at these rookies and the whole class, and especially headlined by Caitlin Clark. They kind of are. They are growing.
The new generation
exponentially. They've never seen this level of attention before. And so certain things like, I know the schedule for the Fever was like brutal to start with. Brutal. If I'm the league, I don't want to get into competitive, like, doing anything illegal. But can we take a look at the schedule and not put, like, make it so brutal at first? Is maybe one thing I would look at. The Olympic team is the new thing. Is she as good as maybe some of the Olympians? Probably not. Put her on the fucking Olympic team. Are you
she
kidding?
should not be on the Olympic team.
You don't think she should?
She should not be on the Olympic team.
Now, why is that?
It's only counterproductive to the whole bullshit you're talking about. If you give her a spot on that
the whole
team,
roller killer.
if you give her a spot on that team, when she really, I mean, she's played fine, but she has not played amazing. She's not even the best rookie right now. So if you, from a talent and earning your spot perspective, if you think that plopping her onto that team when she really hasn't necessarily earned it, it's only going to get worse, and she's going to get treated more like shit. If she was at least the best rookie, I could get behind well, maybe we should give her a spot. But here's the thing. The ratings aren't going to change, I don't think, for the Olympics, whether she's on the team or not.
I think they would.
But she's not going to fucking play.
Well,
like, she could be the 12th person on the team, but she ain't going to fucking play.
That's fair.
If she was going to go on and then play, and then the ratings and this and that, women's basketball could try and manipulate all that all you want. If she was at least the best producing rookie, I'd get behind that.
Actually, though, I got to tell you, as I'm thinking about it more, I agreed with you, but then I was like, no, actually, I think even her being on there and not playing, still going to draw.
They're probably going to tune in and turn it right back off, is my guess.
Maybe.
It's going to depend on what time they put the women's games on, by the way, because it's in Paris. It might be at shit ass hours.
But
no one's looking at what Caitlin Clark on the bench at 3 a.m.
But they might follow it because the women's Olympic team is dominant.
Yes.
And nobody knows it because no one
cares. She gives a shit.
And if she's just even on the team, people might. Hell, I think even the fact that she was snubbed is going to bring a little more attention to the Olympic
my
team.
hope from what you just said is the ratings and all that are going well, not just for the Fever games.
Right.
They're good for everyone's games. So my hope is the point you're making is going to translate no matter what to the Olympics, because people are tuning in more in general to the league. They might tune in more to the players they're seeing as a part of the ratings going up for the Olympics, even if she's not a part of it. And I could be fucking wrong. And when we in a month and a half, we come back and the Olympic numbers for the fucking women's basketball are shitty, I'll eat my fucking words. And I'll say, you're right. To get better ratings, you probably should have put her on.
I'll feed them to you.
That's totally fine.
But somebody
Out of
brought
that
up an
stupid
example.
spoon they've got.
Dave, you're better at the history of the league. You all are, I think. But the example that I heard was Christian Laettner being on the Olympic
That was
team.
my only counterpoint. Yeah,
He was
I
not.
agree with Cody. I actually agree with Cody, but that was my counterpoint of he had no business on the dream team.
Right.
Done.
Absolutely.
But he was there. And so you look at it and you're like, okay, is one deserving person who should be on the team now not going to get to be on the team? Yes. Is that unfortunate? Yes.
And that person's name was Isaiah Thomas, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, on
exactly.
on that
which
one
is
for
which
sure.
is kind of funny. They brought on Christian Laettner instead of him because that
And-
whole
Well,
MJ
because Jordan
beef.
didn't like him. So,
yeah.
but almost to that point too, it is a somewhat of a popularity contest. It's not just who are the best people.
I mean, let's be very honest. Diana Taurasi shouldn't be on this team.
No, she shouldn't.
No, we
not.
love Taurasi in these parts. She's she's not on the tippy top of Phoenix athletes, but she's way up on the list. But she's 42 now, and she's playing okay, but she has no business being on that team still.
They're just letting her break that record
Sure.
to be in the 6th Olympics or whatever. 5th
Yeah,
Olympics.
and
whatever
she
it
won't
was.
play a ton. There's not a huge amount of harm in her or anything, but if you're looking at it again, just based on do they deserve it based on quality of play, absolutely not.
And that's fair. And that's the thing is if we were talking about the WNBA All-Star game, Caitlin Clark better be on the fucking All-Star game. I don't care how mediocre she's playing. You better put her there because you're going to sell tickets to the fucking thing if she's there. Now, it's sold out in Phoenix either way. I'm curious if Clark isn't around doing three-point contests or whatever, how pissed people are going to be. But that's kind of, I mean, I don't know how it's built into the contract, but that's kind of just oh, cool, popularity contest. I get really sentimental about that team's going to win a gold medal, and some woman who probably would be more deserving is not going to get a gold medal and that Olympic experience because of the popularity thing, and I don't want that resentment to breed into Caitlin this early in her career.
That's fair.
And it's trying to protect her from, because again, she's fucking handling this all great. She's done such a great job and way better than any patience I would have, and she's been put in a really tough spot, and I don't know that, again, I thought her response had been well, it's something to work toward. Good. I mean, it's a pretty
That's what she said.
It's a pretty mundane answer. She may honestly believe she probably deserves to be there. I think inside, she probably thinks that talent-wise, she's better than some of the women that are there. She very well might already be, but she's not necessarily producing from the league's point of view to earn that spot yet.
If you don't think that she's got a great shot of being there on the 2028 team, like she's
there.
22 years old. It's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah, and she'll get to do it in the U.S., right? We're in L.A. in that year, so...
It is funny to me, though, because I agree with Sean. I don't think you can say that there's been a little bit too much overreaction to the rookies. I understand that the old guard is like, we've been here all along. Nobody paid attention until these fucking new kids showed up. That's terrible. I hate it. I get it. But at the same time, like, don't slaughter your own cash cow.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
If somebody gets underneath fucking Caitlin Clark on some kind of dumbass flagrant foul and takes her out for the season, like we talked about how it was nice that they have like charter flights available now, like all these benefits that help the whole league, not just these individual new players. So I get it. It sucks that nobody paid attention before and now they are out of nowhere and everybody's all of a sudden a fan. I understand it, but like don't take it too far, please. I don't think anybody has yet. I'm just worried like if this we've had all this vitriol and all the talking heads and, you know, people like Stephen A. Smith talking about the league that never have and all that. I'm like, just don't keep this escalating to a point where it goes too far.
That is my point. And that level of resentment is weird. And you know, the players in the press conferences being like, I don't see why she's such a big deal. Are you a fucking idiot? All she does is shoot threes. Okay. And yet, like, you look at the stats of her fucking people tuning into the Fever games versus the other games. It's like, it's double, if not more, in every single example. Angel Reese, I want to be on her side as much as I can, but she's like, people are watching me too. No, they're not. They are not. At most, they're watching you as the foil to Caitlin Clark when you play her, and that's it.
Which is
so
important.
Please go away.
Which is important, by the way.
Sure.
I mean, it's important for the league. I mean, that was Bird and Magic back in the day. They needed that. Like, the league needs this.
And maybe she's smarter than me and is like, yeah, this is how I play the villain. I'm doing a perfect job of it. It feels like she is playing the villain, but doesn't actually like want to be the villain. And there's a disconnect there. But maybe that's all part of how she's doing it, and she's a genius.
I think it's more akin to like LeBron and the Heat.
Yeah.
Where you're super confident to a fault and almost boisterous, but then what you say ends up coming across as a villain, even if you didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
LeBron and the Heat ended up leaning into it and then kind of regretting it down the road. They've even talked about that now. We'll see what happens with Angel.
Also, all these people in the WNBA who are like angry that this is showing up, like, did you not pay attention to the ratings of women's college basketball over the past like 3 years that were breaking records over and over and over again? Clearly, this was coming, and it was going to come help you as everyone went pro in the United States, not fucking Europe or something. I don't know. Mostly it's just like, what the fuck did you expect? I just don't know why you're so bent out of shape about all this shit. And we're going to expand 2 more WNBA teams in the next like 3 or 4 years because the talent and the demand for this is starting to show up way more.
And because of that, because of the boom, I like with Haley Van Lilith and Paige Beckers, like I can name more WNBA players. I'm sorry, college when it was all the big fever. Then I can like an NHL players. Yeah, easily. Professional soccer players. American, probably. I could probably on the world stage.
You're right, though. I mean, again, there's still more women to come from college that are really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's almost like, hey, you know, the WNBA started how many years ago? We're talking like 25, 30.
1997, I believe.
Yeah. So let's age back every girl who's like, you know, woman who's 23 years old. How old were they when this league started? They weren't born yet, but like you get like the league basically started 4 or 5 years into them being born. Shocker that all of a sudden the long-term planning it would take to make a women's basketball league turn into being successful is you had to wait for some generations of all these girls who are now in college to get to this fucking age.
And the detractors of the WNBA, all the conservatives that I listen to, are like, it's not even making money. Don't they realize like they're losing money? They're relying on the NBA, and it's like, you fucking idiots. Yes, they're losing money, but it's because it's like think about it like a long-term business investment.
It's an investment.
The idea is it's going to continue to grow, like hopefully it's doing now, where it will make money eventually, and it's not going to be on life support forever. That's the goal.
But if it was terribly not working, we wouldn't be adding a team in Toronto and in San Francisco.
It wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It still wouldn't exist because you can have the long-term planning for an investment to work out. You wouldn't keep putting money into the investment. Again, they didn't expand since, I mean, we've moved a bunch of teams around, but the last expansion team was like 16, 15 years ago. I mean, we cut a team in like 2015 or 2016. It was the Monarchs, who were a major team that existed early on in the league's history. They sat around and waited because it wasn't profitable, and those people were correct 10 years ago. Well, now it's back on this upswing. That's why they're fucking adding more teams. The Golden State Warriors owners would not be creating a team if there was no plan in place for this to be self-sufficient and profitable one day. It wouldn't happen.
And Dave, I can't remember if we talked about this because it was on my mind a while ago, but there was an episode way long time ago where you and I were like, for the most part, we feel like we could hold our own on like a women's basketball team. Like, it would be great, but we could hold our own.
Let me clarify that.
Okay.
On a low-level college team back at our primes, I think we could have held our own.
Well, okay.
I will
fine.
never, ever claim that we could have held our own against any WNBA player
anyways,
ever.
It's like I blinked and I look now and the talent level's like so much better. Could I hang? No, absolutely not. They're crazy.
No.
It's amazing.
No. There's no way you could hang with any average person could not hang with the WNBA player at all. Like, that's a stupid thing to say. If you're like, I played high school basketball, therefore I can stay right in front of Caitlin Clark. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, no, you can't.
Right.
But I have played very little against some college players back when I was in college, and I thought I did okay with them. I don't know how hard they were trying, but I did okay with them.
Like the thing with me, I did okay, but he was probably playing at 40, 30,
Who knows?
20%. Yeah. So I think it's interesting. I think it's great. I think it's fun. I think it is better for everybody. I think it's better for the NBA. Like, it's cool.
It is.
Just don't be crazy, WNBA players. And I do think she should be on the Olympic team. I vote she should be on it. I agree. She merit-wise, no. But the popularity factor, I think it would be good for the sport. But
I will say, just as the dad angle, it was kind of fun hearing my daughter like, wait, Caitlin Clark's playing tonight? I want to watch it. Like, having her like being interested in it and wanting to go to Mercury games and like all those things was kind of a fun thing for me to see.
As always, representation matters.
Yeah.
My counterpoint, Sean, by the way, for the Olympics is you should have fucking put her on the 3-on-3 team.
right.
Like, if you wanted to middle of that and put her on the other version of this thing that they do that I think has WNBA players on it too, because it's not like random guys like it is for the men's side. I think it's actually
wasn't there a team that won, like a women team that?
I think you have to do
won
some winning
something.
entry thing, whatever. It's weird qualification.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to like make this work, I don't know, maybe do the 3-on-3 thing where she could just jack up a shit ton of threes and probably win the fucking game pretty easily. I would have watched that really easily, and I wouldn't probably watch the women's 3-on-3 thing otherwise. I don't even really watch the men's 3-on-3 thing a whole lot because it's weird. But if you wanted to try and get ratings to something that was definitely not going to get like super high ratings, I don't know. There's another avenue to actually get her in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think the qualification, I do believe you have to pair up as a team of 3 and you go through stuff and blah, 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 and all that. And her being in college just timed out really poorly. I don't know. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
You should have done that.
So that's my thank you guys for indulging
All right,
me.
we have 10 minutes left to shit on the Lakers. Go.
All right. Let's do it.
Why'd you say,
Let's do it.
all right? It's going to be fun.
I'm fucking sick of talking about the
This is
Lakers.
great.
I
I'm
fucking
just
hate the
laughing.
Lakers.
I'm laughing internally.
Go ahead.
This is great.
So explain the situation. The Lakers were pretty disrespected. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
looking at you.
Yeah, you.
Or Dave. I don't give a
Dave
shit.
should do it. Dave hasn't talked
It
enough.
shouldn't be me.
Well, so I mean, the Lakers, the level of dysfunction continues. It's just great that everyone thinks that they're going to win the title every year, and so they fired their coach, and this past offseason because they middled along and barely made it in the playoffs, and then decided to talk about offering JJ Redick, a podcaster and a former NBA player, which very good media guy, talked about offering him the head coaching job, and then nothing came official. And then they decided to release, or Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski released a report that said, nope, they have offered Dan Hurley a 6-year, $70 million contract. Dan Hurley being the Connecticut head coach who just won 2 straight national titles. And then apparently Dan Hurley turned that down because he wanted to stay in college. Well, people do that. Mike Krzyzewski did that with the Lakers about 10 years ago or so, 10, 15 years ago. So, hey, shit happens. It's okay. Now, Shams Charania comes out with a report today that says, no. Dan Hurley was never their first choice. They wanted I don't even know who they wanted up front, but like they're backpedaling so hard right now. And I just want to eat it all up. It's just so delicious.
The best part of it is that the Lakers, I don't know, a top 2, top 3 prestigious franchise in the league that should be regarded pretty well. Again, we made fun of the Knicks for a long time for the fact that their owner was a Nepo baby who got the team. We have not made enough fun of the Lakers for also falling into the hands of all the children of the original owner who was actually good at this. Then, of course, hiring fucking Kobe's agent because they won't let Kobe go from that franchise as the fucking general manager. And they got played so fucking bad because Woj, who knows the Hurley family very well and wrote a book about Hurley's dad, just leaked this so Hurley could leverage this to a better contract for UConn. The Lakers got fucking played. The Lakers should not get played like this. This is a Clippers ass fucking move. So, I'm probably going to call the Lakers the Clakers now because they're just the fucking Clippers at this point, and they're really the second best team in LA in terms of being run well as a fucking franchise. And the more poverty ass shit you see, because 6 years, $70 million for a guy who's, I mean, that college coaches make $15 million a year. He's going to get $20 million, I think, from UConn now, somewhere around there. That's a poverty fucking level offer for a franchise that should have lots of money. Here's the funny part. The Lakers ownership, they don't have another business. The Lakers are their business. The Clippers ownership, well, he's a fucking billionaire from Microsoft. Multi-billionaire. So the Lakers are like legitimately not one of the richest. I mean, they're worth a lot of money, but all the money that they are worth is tied up into the team. The Buss family, or the remnants of the Buss family, would be filthy rich if they sold the Lakers away, but they're not actually rich. So to get played like this, you fucking inept management-wise, and it starts to expose you as, oh shit, you guys actually don't really have any money like a bunch of the fucking other owners in the league, like the Suns or the Clippers. There's a lot of ownership groups that have a lot more money to them than the Lakers, and I think this just starts to expose that the Lakers have been coasting off of LeBron chose to go there just because he wanted to play in LA. The Lakers are not run efficiently at all. They are running off of the Lakers' legacy, and the further and further and further you get away from that, I'm curious what's going to happen in like 6 more years. Does anyone want to keep fucking going there? Sure, I guess it's the Lakers, but now you're just sitting in a franchise that's sad and has way far past its fucking top time days.
I mean, how much did that play into Dan Hurley not wanting to go there, of being like, well, LeBron's going to retire in 2 years, and then what?
Yeah, do I want to have LeBron, and then do I want to have LeBron's kid? No, I mean, LeBron's going to now try and have his kid and his podcast host. I mean, it's fucking clown-ass franchise at this point.
And I know it's more complicated than this because you have ties to Connecticut, ties to UConn. You're going for something that has rarely been done, 3 in a row.
I don't know.
For
it
NCAA.
probably hasn't happened since UCLA and Woody, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there, but I like to look at it as the Lakers are so fucking dysfunctional. You're turning down what most people consider like life-changing generational money just to not be there.
To go get life-changing generational money in Connecticut, which, I don't know, I mean, it's cheaper to live there.
I mean,
he has more money.
I don't know what
New York is right there.
Once you're making multi-million dollars, I know it starts to become less, but like it was 6 years, $70 million. And that's more than you make in 5-6 years at UConn.
He's going to make $20 million a year at UConn now. They're going to have to get now. I really am curious if he ever had the intention of doing this, or honestly, if he and Woj basically play the Lakers really badly here. I would love to know.
It's starting to feel like because he hemmed and hawed and he did what he was supposed to do, but it feels like he just leveraged the Lakers to get a pay raise.
I don't know about y'all. Maybe you can tell me if you've had an example of this, but since I've been in a hiring position for years now, I don't think I've ever offered someone a job and had them wait 3 days to tell me about it.
No.
I've had people think about it for a day or so. They wanted to talk it over family stuff. I'm not saying it's impossible to think about it, but if you're really excited about an opportunity, you don't play a game of 3 or 4 days of hemming and hawing. You just don't.
Yeah. Unless you're taking that offer and going and being like, hey, this is what they gave me. Will you give me a lot more?
Yeah, no, I am considering it. I just need time to talk to UConn,
about how much
offer.
Money.
I mean, I think at different levels, it does happen a little bit more when you get to higher dollar levels, because then you can do exactly that, where you go back to your other employer and be like, I got this offer in my back pocket. I'm ready to walk out the door. What are you going to do for me? Because that happens in any business setting, I think. But
and I don't, I don't know about the rules at college. And again, the money is so great, but I know there are certain businesses where you cannot, through HR or whatever, offer more money. literally unless there is another offer, and then there is money set aside for counter offering, and so you can make more.
This is a horrible management tactic.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
But
I know.
it exists.
Yeah. So
it does.
I
And
don't know if that's in the case here, but
to me, ultimately, what's really fucking funny is, let's say Hurley goes to the Lakers and they finish 5th 3 times, and LeBron retires or goes to a different team and he gets fired. The UConn job, if they were struggling during those 3 years, would be open.
Yeah.
Any fucking college, Dan Hurley can have whatever college job he wants at this point. You don't win back-to-back titles and dominate the fucking tournament the 2 times that he did. Thank you much very Dan Hurley for making me lots of money. And not have basically every college ready to hire you. Any college that used to be good and is now struggling is going to find, like, Ohio State's a great example. Ohio State used to be a pretty decent-ish basketball school. If he got fired from the Lakers, and Ohio State has all these boosters who want to make sure that they have money, he's got a fucking $15 million offer sitting at Ohio State to coach there for 4 years. It's not hard.
What about
Anywhere.
What about UCLA?
Exactly.
Like,
UCLA is
UCLA
great.
Big Ten now.
He could get
Oh my
fired
God,
in LA
like-
and then stay in his same home that he bought when he moved there, and he could fucking be UCLA's coach. USC would offer him shit tons of money to desperately try and be relevant in basketball. The guy would have any offer, and he still said,
No.
I don't want your shit money.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay at UConn. And in 2 more years, maybe he ends up in the NBA. Because UConn's
That's
one of the
what
better
Billy Donovan
basketball jobs in our memory and day and age. It's one of the better basketball jobs you're going to get now.
well, and I think I don't lend too much to this, but I think it's worth saying is like, how does JJ Redick feel? Because now clearly, at one point he was, oh my God, it'd be great if we get him. Let's really try. He's like our choice, and now very clearly, he
might be
settling.
he might be the third choice because
Yeah.
to the video that Dave sent, I think it's the Pelicans assistant coach or lead assistant is the one they were talking about.
James Borrego.
Yes, thank you. That they interviewed or brought to the facility. So it's like, okay, so Redick's maybe the third choice. And I get it. I feel like when they fired Ham, I don't know, I think one of us said it, I might have said it, I'm like, so what the fuck are they going to do now? You're going to have to do some weird splashy bullshit like hire Redick, for example. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But do you really want to retread this again? And you guys stole the other coach that probably would have made sense to hire before they fucking could.
Also, fuck Darvin Ham.
And also,
Fuck Darvin Ham.
Monty Williams might still be available. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fuck Darvin Ham. No, I don't. I'm gonna pass. The year with the Lakers was just too taxing, and then he takes another job. Fuck you. We don't want you anyway, and we're gonna beat your dumb ass.
Well, he went to go be a lead assistant.
and
Yeah,
on the
well,
list of
fuck
fuck yous, by the way, of course, fuck the Lakers, always and forever. But I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, fuck Woj and fuck Shams.
Yeah.
I'm sick
I
of
know.
all this bullshit.
Yeah.
My other main takeaway from this wasn't even related to Hurley or the Lakers or Redick or any of that. It's Woj clearly playing one side for his certain client's advantage, and Shams clearly playing his other side for other advantage, and the two of them feuding about who gets to be the first to scoop this. And Shams with his bullshit during the draft last year, and Woj with this other horse shit about leaking draft picks before they're even finalized. Fuck them both.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand the value of it. Clearly, as fans, but we as a fandom, as basketball fans, thrive on this drama. We want all the goss. We want all this bullshit. That's been the trend of the NBA for the last few years. But at the same time, I'm like, what value are they providing? What difference does it make if Woj leaks who's going to get drafted 2.5 minutes before the pick is revealed? Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
So fuck both of them.
And at this point, then the whole issue comes with the integrity and things like that. They're supposed to be reporters, right? They're supposed to be delivering information.
They're not.
They ain't that.
Yeah.
They're power brokers, and they have been for a while.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean the split between reporter and like, I don't know, engagement farmer, like that broke off a long time ago. As Twitter started to rise, and this started in the NFL, and then it extended into the NBA, and those are the two that mostly have this problem. Baseball has it to an extent as well with some of its people. But yeah, it's just like, all right, because again, you're right. It's not like this is getting like clicks to the ESPN's website. Like, how many more viewers are you really generating off of like this shit talk over and over again? Like, if it's not on First Take, no one gives a shit. No one watches ESPN.
Well, they eventually put up a story and they link to it on his account, but that's done 15, 20, 30 minutes after the original tweet and gets way less engagement.
So yeah, exactly. So who's the one that's getting out of this? It's just they get clout on Twitter, and then Twitter gets the traffic that still vaguely exists for sports.
Well, I think a reputation, right?
Yeah.
And then because now
reputation-
Woj has a podcast
Yeah.
and he has his own stuff, and all that's built on Woj bombs.
Yeah. But like reputation for what? Like, are they? So ESPN's basically just letting them build themselves up off platform to then demand more fucking money from ESPN. ESPN wants them to be the first people to do all this bullshit, and then it comes back around, and then they have to fucking give them more money. I don't fucking get what you're doing.
You know what? Speaking of money, though, the new deal, it's a bit of mostly positivity, although there's some negative ways to spend this, I'm sure. The new deal for the NBA is looking really positive, and I like it. I mentioned this years ago. I'm competitive when it comes to like the NBA. I want the league to be successful. I want it to do well, and it is. It's doing really well. And selfishly, the higher the cap, the better it is for our team. Kind of, right?
A little.
That's how you should look at it when your team has money.
Yeah, exactly.
I know how that feels. I agree with you. You should want the caps as high as possible.
We finally have money. For the first time ever, we have money.
And you know who doesn't have money? The Lakers.
Exactly. So I thought that was cool.
I find it funny, the dichotomy, though, of movie industry versus sports industry right now, because we were talking about how nothing's working well in the movie industry, and now the sports industry. I mean, sports is the beacon of live now. It's the you have to see it now, because movies you don't even have to see now anymore. You can easily say to somebody, hey, wait, I haven't seen it yet, I'll talk to you next week. Sports, you can't do it. You just can't do it that way. It is the only thing that is, DVR proof, streaming proof, whatever you want to call it, and they're cashing in on it.
I mean, and that's where all the fucking apps. I mean, again, this is not sports in the same way, but Netflix just gave the WWE billions of fucking dollars to put it on there. Everyone's clamoring over what it's ESPN and Fox and someone are gonna make one sports streaming little package thing together. I think as well as like the plan to merge their sports streaming services into one streaming service, and name it some whatever bullshit, because it's the only way it's the only thing that's valuable. But you're right. Well, the advertisers want to be on fucking sports because that's the only thing anyone watches.
I know cable's still dying, but how long has it been on like life support? Oh, simply because of sports.
Oh, that's exactly right.
That's it. Like
it's the staple of legacy TV.
Yeah.
It's the only thing in and as Amazon and Netflix creep in more and more with trying to pull sports off of it, cable's going to get more and more fucked because people are having to go. I mean, being an NFL fan, you have to have like 9 different streaming services just to watch every fucking game.
Yeah.
If you want to watch it, it's all over the fucking place. But the league's making money because of it, so you can whine all you want. But your league that you love so much is doing well financially. So again, the NBA is going to end up adding 2 more fucking teams in the next decade. Because it's doing so well, because it's splitting all of its packages and selling them to God only knows what random place you have to watch it, you can whine about that, but your league sure as fuck ain't going to tank. Now, the catch to that is also trying to go watch it in person costs you $300 fucking dollars a game. But to Sean's point about movies, sports doesn't really give a shit if we go in person or not. They're making money on TV, so if we watch it on TV, they're still happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have more to say, but we're at time.
Oh, I had one last comment that I thought was funny is I heard Comcast had talked about bundling together your streaming services together, and they'll offer one package to bundle your streams. I'm like, where have I seen this before?
They'll bundle the streaming services together with a cable, actually.
A line of some sort.
They'll just tie them up together with some mechanism.
What? So what is it, like a deal? Like we're gonna give you 3 streaming services for
it's
less.
Maybe a little bit off, but it's like $50 or $60 for like 5 or 6 streaming services, and so you're cabling them together.
Yeah.
It's the same premise as Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu being all packaged together. It's the same idea.
Which is actually, and I know I should now. I love it. It's one app too. It's like
because they finally got smart and realized they could just bleed all this shit together. Now.
I can just I can watch my Hulu stuff and my Disney stuff all from I'm watching The Acolyte. Pretty good actually. It's surprisingly. I told you I'm ready to give up on Star Wars. This had to be really good for me to try.
Woke.
What?
It's so woke.
The Acolyte?
Yeah, it's too woke, man.
Is that
it's too woke, man?
Yeah, it's too woke.
Is that what people are saying?
Yes, that's why I got review bombed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even.
It's like the lowest audience score in the history of Star Wars.
I should have assumed it was review bombed. I should have assumed that because I think the lead actress has been outspoken.
Oh, so you said the word actress, not actor. That's already a problem.
Well, right,
Strike one.
Yeah. So it's the best thing since Andor that I've seen on the Star Wars because the fucking guy from Squid Game, he's so good.
Speaking of Korean stuff.
Yeah, so we brought it back. We went full circle.
There we go.
All right, well, that's our topical episode. Thank you for joining us. Hot button issues, debated fiercely, but not really because, for the most part, we're aligned on a lot of things. Jason also likes Acolyte. And Peter says, yeah, it's being called out for being woke. Yeah. Well, first of all, everything's woke, so how could it not be? But
Did he deliberately spell woke like that?
I like
WOEK?
it. It's that way the commenter, the moderators won't pick up on it.
right, and the algorithm doesn't see it
I
either.
gotta delete that.
So now it's not like, oh, they get a lot of woke comments. Let's boost them up. Although
Yeah.
maybe we need to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the key to us going viral. But that's the end of the show. We will be back next week. Thank you for watching. I think the game show is going to be in 2 weeks. It'll be back, and Sean will have a chance to go on his rant. Although he doesn't have much time in the episode because they already run long as it is. So we'll see how
I'll
much
have
time
to
he
do
gets.
it maybe before. I still want to do like a some sort of check-in at 6 months. Maybe next week we can talk because we reviewed a lot, but there's a lot of stuff we haven't been able to touch on yet. So we'll see.
I
You'd
still
give
don't
me
know
a
if I
list of
like
things to
that.
watch then.
Yeah, I'll give you stuff to watch. You've watched stuff.
No.
Dave, you've watched stuff. We'll see.
Dave watched.
It'll be a good time to check in. There's a lot of stuff in 2024. It's crazy. We're only first half of the year.
That's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching or listening. You can find us at our website, grayareas.live, or youtube.com/@grayareaslive, or facebook.com/grayareaslive, and I don't want to talk about Twitter. We'll see you next time.